Not because I was angry with them, not because I hated them, but because I wanted to keep them with me. And as my obsession grew, I was saving body parts.
Whenever the name Jeffrey Dahmer comes up in discussions about crime and psychopathy, it sends chills down people's spines. His crimes were so disturbing that even in 2022, when a series based on his life was released, audiences were left in shock. People couldn't fathom how a man who appeared so ordinary on the outside could be responsible for the tragic fate of 17 individuals, and that too in such a ruthless manner. But what shocked the world even more was that he didn't stop at just taking lives. He went beyond, committing acts that were truly horrifying. As Dahmer himself once said,
It made me feel like they were a permanent part of me.
The public was well aware of his crimes, but what truly drove him to commit such terrifying acts remains a haunting question. The public was well aware of Jeffrey Dahmer's crimes, but the reason behind his actions remained a mystery. What makes a person a psychopath? Are they born this way? Or do their childhood experiences shape them into who they become? This question has puzzled experts for years, and the most crucial debate, one that even many psychiatrists still question, is whether Jeffrey Dahmer was truly a psychopath or not. In today's video, we will uncover the psychological aspects behind his actions and explore the truth behind his mind. Jeffrey Dahmer was widely known as the Milwaukee Cannibal, an American serial killer and sex offender who brutally took the lives of 17 young men between 1978 and 1991. His crimes were not just acts of murder, but also involved disturbing elements that left investigators and the public in shock. His methods were beyond horrifying, making him one of the most infamous criminals in history.
I started saving the skeletons, preserving other parts.
Understanding the motives and intentions behind such crimes is crucial. There can be many reasons why someone takes a life. It could be driven by hatred, personal gain, or revenge. However, cases like Jeffrey Dahmer stand apart. He wasn't driven by anger or financial benefit. Instead, he committed these horrifying acts purely for his own satisfaction. Some individuals simply do it because it makes them feel good. A chilling reality that raises disturbing questions about the psychology behind such actions.
What were your fantasies about?
They were sexual fantasies of control, power, complete dominance.
Jeffrey Dahmer was born on May 21st, 1960, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. According to his family, his early childhood was full of energy and happiness. However, after undergoing double hernia surgery, he seemed to lose his spark and began withdrawing from social interactions. As he grew older, things took a darker turn. When his parents went through a bitter divorce, Dahmer struggled emotionally and turned to heavy drinking as a coping mechanism. By the time he reached adulthood, he realized he was homosexual and had even been in a relationship with another young man, something he never revealed to his parents. But alongside this, a disturbing fascination began to grow within him. He became deeply interested in dead animals, at first merely observing insects, but soon his curiosity extended to the remains of cats and dogs. He would analyze their bodies, collect bones, and study them with an unsettling level of interest. These were early warning signs that hinted at a developing desensitization to death. His obsession with lifeless bodies was taking shape, but no one could have predicted just how far it would go, not even Dahmer himself.
I had fantasies about picking up a hitchhiker and taking him back to the house and having complete control and dominance over him.
Jeffrey Dahmer committed his first murder in 1978 at the age of just 18. He lured a hitchhiker named Stephen Hicks to his home under the pretense of having drinks. However, when Hicks insisted on leaving, Dahmer struck him on the head with a 10-pound dumbbell. He then used the metal rod of the dumbbell to strangle him to death. What's even more surprising is that Dahmer did not kill again for the next 9 years. During this period, he attempted to live a relatively normal life, but deep inside, his dark urges were only growing stronger, waiting for the moment they would resurface.
Jeffrey Dahmer joined the army and was sent to Germany. He was eventually discharged for a drinking problem and returned to Ohio. 9 years after Stephen Hicks' murder, the killing began again.
But in 1987, when Dahmer committed his second murder, this marked the true beginning of his transformation into a brutal serial killer. From this point on, he could no longer control his compulsions and obsessions. Instead of waiting for opportunities, he actively began hunting his victims, most of whom he lured from gay bars. His dark desires had now completely taken over, and what followed was a series of chilling crimes that would make him one of the most infamous killers in history.
I started reading pornography, going to the bookstores. Eventually that led to frequenting the gay bars. One time I brought this young man back to the hotel room, the Ambassador Hotel. Was just planning on drugging him and spending the night with him. I had no intention of hurting him.
There have been multiple psychological theories proposed to understand the mind of Jeffrey Dahmer. Over time, he was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and schizotypal personality disorder, two conditions that often involve severe social withdrawal, isolation, anger, and psychosis-like symptoms. Alongside this, Dahmer's struggle to suppress his sexual identity led to intense social isolation, which caused severe psychological distress. Evidence suggests that Dahmer had a deep need for control and companionship, and he attempted to fulfill that through his victims, using them as a way to cope with his extreme loneliness. Two key psychological conditions help explain Dahmer's lack of empathy and social detachment: antisocial personality disorder, ASPD, and psychopathy. Dahmer repeatedly violated the law, disregarded social norms, and deceived others without remorse, all traits linked to ASPD. Psychopathy, on the other hand, is defined by superficial charm, manipulation, compulsive lying, and a complete lack of guilt or remorse, traits that align with Dahmer's personality. However, modern psychiatry does not classify Dahmer as a full-fledged psychopath. The Hare Psychopathy Checklist, which rates psychopathic traits on a 40-point scale, determines that individuals scoring between 25 and 35 are considered psychopaths. Surprisingly, Dahmer only scored 13, which suggests he did not meet the clinical definition of a psychopath. In comparison, other infamous serial killers like Ted Bundy, Richard Ramirez, and John Wayne Gacy scored well within the psychopathy range. It's important to note that being a psychopath does not automatically make someone a serial killer, just as being a serial killer does not mean someone is a psychopath. In fact, many world leaders and high-ranking individuals exhibit psychopathic tendencies without engaging in violent crimes. This raises an interesting question. Are psychopaths born this way, or do they become psychopaths due to their life experiences? The answer is both. There are two types of psychopaths. Primary psychopaths, who are born with violent tendencies, have been found to have smaller brain regions responsible for emotions, remorse, and guilt. They also show no response to punishment, which is why they are often confined to psychiatric institutions for life. Secondary psychopaths, on the other hand, develop psychopathic traits due to childhood trauma or environmental factors, and Dahmer fits into this category. His obsession with dead animals may have triggered his cannibalistic tendencies, while his parents' divorce and his mother's mental health struggles created deep emotional trauma. Additionally, his struggle with his homosexuality led to difficulties in forming social relationships, further detaching him from reality. This could explain why Dahmer engaged in sexual acts with his victims after killing them, so that he would never have to face rejection from them.
No, the killing wasn't the objective. I just wanted to have the person under my complete control to do with as I wanted. That's what the motive was.
Was there something sexual in the dismemberment of the bodies for you?
As time went on, yes, I did get there was a sexual part to that. I started saving the skeletons and preserving other parts, and one thing led to another. It took more and more.
Dad, this is how you act when you are out of control. I don't want to ever see my mother have to go through this again. Never, Jeffrey! Jeffrey! I hate you! I hate you! This is out of control! Don't fuck with me, Jeffrey! I'll kill you! God damn it! Look at me, motherfucker!
Make no mistake, psychopathy.
Make no mistake, whether psychopathy is caused by biological reasons or social factors, there is no excuse for committing crimes. Parents, schools, and law enforcement agencies must remain vigilant and be aware of the warning signs in children. These signs may include destructive behavior during anger, frequent violations of the law, or habitual lying. It is crucial to address these signs early to prevent harmful outcomes and protect society.